Impact XT is Studio One's native drum sampler and beat pad, and today I want to share with you 3 tips you should know for a better drum programming workflow. Before we start, if you're a Studio One user, don't forget to download my free productivity toolbar. This is a macro toolbar that sits at the top of the arranger view for easy access and combines a bunch of Studio One's production functions into time-saving one-click buttons. The productivity toolbar is completely free, so if you want to start speeding up your Studio One workflow today, then click the first link down below to get access. Okay, the first tip is a time-saving one. One of the annoying things about using Impact is that every time that you use a new instance, you not only have to add your samples again, but also route all of the pads manually to the console for more sample control. It doesn't take long once you get the hang of it, but having to do this every single time you start a new project can become a little annoying. Well, the solution to this is actually quite simple. First, go ahead and load up your favorite samples into Impact by dragging them onto the pads either from the browser or from anywhere on your computer. So let me go ahead and do that now. I'll do a snare, I will do a kick, and I will do, let's do a close hi-hat, and also an open hi-hat. Now, I'm only going to load 4 for this demo, but I suggest that you load up as many as you normally use in a production. From there, go to the bottom right of each pad and then assign each of them to a channel on the mixer. So here I'm gonna do, that's already on 1, then 2, 3, and then 4. The moment you do this, this should also automatically create the channels on the console as well. But if that doesn't happen, then no worries. All you have to do is go to the arrow here on the top drop-down menu, select that, and then check off as many channels as you want to use. Finally, once you have all your samples and routing in place, all you have to do to make sure that this preset loads up every single time is go to the top left here to this paper icon, drop this down, and if you head all the way to the bottom, you're going to see an option called Store as Default Preset. From here, click OK, and now every time that you load up an Impact from the browser, not only will it automatically load up your favorite samples, but also have the routing in place, and you should be good to go. Now, just to demonstrate that this is actually the case, I'm going to go ahead and remove this Impact, go over to my instruments. So here it is, Impact. I'm going to drag it in, and there it is. Now, if you don't want to make this your default preset for whatever reason, you could always just store it as a single preset and load that up anytime you want. To do that, simply go to the top, same paper icon, click on that, but this time hit the first option, Store Preset. You can name this whatever you want. And from here, you could always just bring it back up anytime you want by clicking on this drop-down menu and selecting it from here. Okay, the next tip is for anyone who likes to work with drum loops and wants more control for creating their own patterns. So here I have a drum loop that I got from Splice. Now, I really love the groove, but what if I wanted to use these drum sounds, but program my own pattern? Well, all you have to do once that sample is inside of Studio One is go ahead and right-click on that audio file, go over to Audio, and then hit Send to New Impact. What this will do is not only splice the drum loop based on the transients, but also assign each new splice to a new pad, giving you the ability to individually trigger and program your own patterns. Another way to do this exact same thing is to open up an instance of Impact, and this time go ahead and drag that sample to the first pad, but before you let go, press and hold the Shift key. Again, this will do the exact same thing, so it's just up to you how you want to get there. Okay, this last tip is for my sound designers. I did a video a few weeks ago where I compared Impact and Sample One for drum programming, and one of the reasons that I mentioned for using Sample One over Impact is that Sample One allowed you to layer sounds. Well, friend, it turns out that you can do the same thing with Impact because even after 10 years of using Studio One, it still manages to surprise me. So when using Impact, the default behavior for loading in samples is that if you drag in a sample to a pad that already has a sound assigned, it just replaces it. However, if you drag in a second sample, but this time you press and hold the command button on a Mac before letting go, it will load both at the same time. Similarly, you could always just select both samples from the browser and then drag them in. That also works as well. Now from here you have a couple of different options, but if you do nothing past this point, you're going to be automatically in what's called velocity mode. So let me show you how that works. In velocity mode, the sound being triggered will change depending on how hard you hit the pad on your MIDI controller. With the current parameters, which are currently set to about 50-50, if I lightly tap on my MIDI controller, I will get the first sample. But if I hit it harder, I will get the second sample. Furthermore, you can mess around with the velocity trigger ratio by messing around with the tabs here at the top for each sample. More to the left means that sample 2 will get more preference, and conversely, more to the right means that sample 1 will get more preference. What's cool is that this also applies to the piano roll. I can program notes from this one pad, but the sample being triggered will vary depending on how much velocity I assign to that note. The next option down is called Round Robin, and this one basically alternates between both samples every time that the note is played, regardless of velocity. And finally, the last option down is called Stack, and this one is the option that you want to use if you want to hear both samples at the same time. As an extra bonus, and just like with sample 1, you can click on each sample tab, and if that sample is in a folder with similar sounds, then you can use the arrows on the window here to hot swap on the fly. So there you have it, friends. Hopefully that helps you open up some new workflows with Impact and helps you finish more songs. Speaking of finishing more songs, once you have some ready to go and you want to distribute them, then consider doing so with today's video sponsor, DistroKid. DistroKid is a digital music distributor, and with prices starting at $20 a year for unlimited uploads, it is a super easy and affordable way to get your music out to all major streaming platforms. DistroKid goes way beyond distribution though. They also offer some really great tools to get your online presence on the right track. Once you sign up, you also get a free feature that gets your Spotify account verified so your listeners know that that is your official account. On top of that, they also offer a free Spotify canvas generator that uses royalty-free videos from Pexel.com to add some flair to your profile. So then if you're ready to spread your music to a larger audience, then consider signing up to DistroKid by visiting ivancalderon.com/DistroKid or by clicking the link down below to get 7% off your first year. But that's it for me, friends. Those were my 3 tips to help you get more out of Impact XT. If you want to see my full comparison of Sample 1 and Impact and why ultimately I choose Sample 1 for my drum programming, then click on this video right over here. Thank you so much for your time, and I'll see you on the next video.